Well, Rob, you remember little David Wilkins, I'm sure. He had so many hits he wrote. What, Georgia Keeps Pulling on My Ring was a number one record for Conway Twitty. He wrote,
Butterbean.
yeah, yep. Well, he wrote Brenda Lee, that song Coming On Strong. I mean, he wrote so many monster hits for other artists. But, back in the late 70s, he had a lot of hits of his own. The Butterbean song, you just mentioned it. The Butterbean song, that song. See that girl over there? She ain't as pregnant as she seems. She's just full of them good old butter beans. And then he had, One Monkey Don't Stop No Show. One Monkey Don't Stop No Show. Remember that one?
Yes,
But
sir.
anyway, so he had a lot of hits himself, much less he wrote a lot of them. But I had quit. I had, like I said before, I didn't quit music. I'd been in Nashville in 35 years, and he kept calling me and calling me and calling me and calling me. And he said, "Listen, man," he said, "I want you to come to Nashville and record this song for me." He said, I know, you're doing a lot of gospel music and all now." He said, "But I want you to, I wrote this song called I Stand the Tallest When I'm Down on My Knees." And he said, "I want to do a duet with you." I said, "David, I ain't been in the studio. I don't play no music no more." I said, I don't even know if I can even sing it, you know? He said, "Oh, I know you can. It's like riding a bicycle. You can do it." I said, "No, I don't do music, David." Well, every day he would call me every day, every day. He said, "You thought about it anymore? You gonna come?" I mean, pretty soon he got aggravated. And so I said,
You just
"Listen,
want to shut him up now.
I just want to shut him up. Just shut up. Leave me alone." And so he so I told him one day, I said, "Okay, look, listen, David, I'll come to Nashville and I'll record that song with you. Then I'm leaving and coming back home." So I went to Nashville up there and we met. We went over to Hilltop Recording Studio and we recorded I Stand the Tallest When I'm Down on My Knees. And you know what? Hadn't been in the studio in all that time, Rob, but I put them headphones on and that track got to going. And the guys have been playing that track, and boy, it just hit me. I thought, wow, it's like old
Like it never
times.
stopped.
Yeah, just like little David said, like riding a bicycle, you can't forget. Well, anyway, we did a couple run throughs and all this kind of stuff with it, and we laid that thing down, and that it was just like, I mean, it just laid there perfect. And so little David put it out on their label. He put it out. But anyway, I said I was going to leave Nashville when I got done with that song. Well, 2 weeks later, I got to leave Nashville. We
That's
didn't bring the clothes to stay that long or nothing, me and her and Diane. And so we got stuck up there for 2 weeks. And so anyway, they put that song out and it stayed number one 5 weeks in a row in the gospel music charts.
nice.
So after all those years, well, naturally, that kind of started everything again.
You're getting the
Then
fever.
Yeah, well, that and then people in Nashville, you would not believe it, Rob. The messages and all this kind of stuff that I would get on Facebook. Man, heard that song with you and little David. Man, we thought you was dead. We didn't know you. I mean,
I sound pretty
hadn't
good for
heard from
dead
you.
man.
We hadn't heard from you in 30 years. Whatever. Said we thought maybe you had died or something other. Blah blah blah. And this went on and on. Next thing you know, I started getting these offers and this and that and the other. And well, I didn't tell this a while ago, I don't think, but the last time I played the Grand Ole Opry was in 1984. And I used to play, you know, 2 to 3 times a year, every year on the Grand Ole Opry. Well, 1984, being so drunk and messed up, I got suspended from the Grand Ole Opry in 1984. And so they suspended me. And so all this, and banned from the Opry too. So all these years, I'll never be back on the Opry again. Well, guess what? After I did this song with Little David and everything got started, and then I teamed up with a guy named Jimmy Adams. I knew Jimmy Adams from way, way, way back in the day when he was in L.A. and hanging around Sylvester Stallone. He was in all that kind of stuff. And him and Don King were actually partners in the boxing back in the day when
Don King with
Don King, yeah,
the
Don King.
Tyson's promoter.
Yeah, Yeah, that Don King, yeah. And see, Jimmy's always been in the fight game. So anyway, but I knew him from way back then, so we kind of hooked up and done a few things. And then on his little deal he had going, I started recording again and recording different songs, and most of them was all gospel at the time. And what was just charting one right after another in the gospel charts. Then I did a couple of country songs. I did a song that Nick Nichols wrote called "Cut and Paste." I got to get you. I don't know if you got that or not, but I got to get you that one.
I think I played that one. It's like a couple 3 years old.
Yep, yeah, something like that.
I think I was playing it here a few years ago. I still got it somewhere. If you want to send it to make sure I
I
got it,
sent.
send it.
Oh, it's a great song, "Cut and Paste," and that's what it's all about. Like these phones now, just cut it and paste it. And so anyway, that became a big song. It was country. And so I said, well, I can do some country too. So I started going, good clean country and all. I started doing that kind of thing along with my gospel, and it just started branching out, and everything started happening again. And then last year on June the 7th, I believe it was, at the end of CMA week, yes, I was back on the Grand Ole Opry again after all 40, probably 44 years, 44 years. I was back on the Grand Ole Opry.
Dude, I was
And
going to ask you if you ever went back. That was part
yep,
of their 100 year celebration. So that was special.
and so yeah, it was really special. And everybody said, "Man, I thought you were suspended from the Grand Ole Opry. I thought they said they'd never have you on there." I said, "I outlived all those guys. All the ones that
You
suspended, they
got
all
fresh
dead.
people
I'm
in there
still
now.
alive." I saw all these new guys up there at the Grand Ole Opry. I said, I outlived all of them. So
Well, I'm glad
anyway,
that
so uh,
turned
things have
around,
just
man. That's awesome.
turned around. So this year, June the 9th, I think it is, at the end of
I can't see. I can't hear nobody.
the war. Uh,
What
what
the
was
heck
that? Who
happened?
talking to me?
Something happened right there.
Yeah, somebody talking
Wasn't
to me.
me.
Did you guys
What happened?
lose? Did y'all lose anything at all?
No, I still got y'all up here good.
So I lost, everything froze up. And then you said June the 12th of this year. And at that point, I lost everything after that.
Really?
Start telling about going back to the Opry and playing that song that they want.
That's
We'll
right.
come
Okay.
in
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah. Okay. Sunday morning. Okay. That's June the 9th. Uh, oh, we're there now?
Yeah, we're there. Just
Oh,
take a
we're back.
little, just take a couple of seconds. That way we can edit all that and then just get right back into your story.
All right. And on June the 9th of this year, June the 9th, guess what? I'm going back on the Opry.
Nice.
Uh, I'm going back on the Opry, and they called and specifically wants me to do "Lead Me Home" on the Opry on June the 9th.
Man,
And
that
then
is
I think it's
amazing.
June the 9th. I'm pretty sure it's June the 9th. And so anyway,
If you
uh,
show up on the 9th and look surprised, that probably ain't the day we supposed to be there.
And that was a question I was going to ask you. When you go play on the Opry, do they say these are the songs you could sing, or do you usually just choose what you want?
usually you can choose kind of what you want, you know, what you want to. But like I say, after being banned all those years, if they tell me what they want me to do, I'm gonna say yes, sir.
Yes,
They
sir.
want you to be a good boy,
Yes, sir.
they
which is
they don't
fine
know that I'm
because
not that way anymore. They said, "Well, just do something calm, don't."
don't throw in there with soul searching and all that stuff.
Rhino will love this. Can I tell why I got banned from the Grand Ole Opry?
Wow.
I'm going to anyway. So so uh, we was on there and was on Charlie Pride
Was this in
and was on
1985?
I was on Charlie Pride's portion, and I was so messed up that night. I mean, I was just And of course, I always had my band on there with me because
Hmm.
in 1983, my band Hurricane Band, they won Traveling Band of the Year, and
Nice.
I was a proud Daddy Peacock. My band in 1983 was the Traveling Band of the Year, the Hurricane Band. But anyway, they was always on the Opry with me. Well, that night in '84, I was so messed up, and they hadn't been long come out to the new Opry. Used to be at Ryman, but then
Yep.
was out there at the Opryland. Well, they hadn't even had all the the patch bays and all this stuff in the floor, like they do and all this kind of stuff. They still had them all running out all in front of the monitors and stuff. Well, there's about 4 foot between where the monitors are on the Opry to the edge of the stage, and that's that's where they had all these here patch bays now. Well, I used to be wild and crazy, and I thought I was just gonna fly and jump over a monitor and get out there with the audience. Well, I did not see the patch bay behind that monitor. And when I went running and I took a leap, I looked down and I said, "Uh-oh." I tried to fly. I tried to do everything I could do, but it didn't work. My foot come right down. I clipped the cords. I
Oh my
clipped about four
goodness.
four of the cords on the patch bay. I got the grand award for knocking the Grand Ole Opry off of the air on WSM. They was knocked off the air for 3 minutes.
Well, what happened was,
Well, what happened was I got fired from the Grand Ole Opry
So
and
that is
never
why
to
you were
show up on
banned.
that stage again.
And that is why you were banned.
and 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 Charlie Pride, man, I never will forget it. He said, "Boy," he said, "let me," because I done shows with Charlie. We was real close. He said, "Boy, let me tell you one thing." He said, "These people come here to hear you sing, not run around and act like a jackass on the stage."
I
I
met him
said,
one time, and I can definitely. We talked for 30 minutes, and that is definitely something he would have said.
"That's exactly what he said." And my bass player was over there. His mouth just fell open. He said, "Boy, did we just get chewed out by Charlie Pride or what?"
So,
And
how long did it take them to say bye bye and don't come back
oh, it wasn't long. It wasn't
two
long when
minutes.
they
before they
were
got
running
back on
around.
the air?
Yeah, they was running around with temporary cables and everything. They got them back up for 3 minutes. WSM was off of the air. And
Oh,
they got
You're gonna go
them back
down
up.
as
We
a
didn't even get to finish our song. They had somebody else already out there. We didn't
you're
even get to
you're
do
gonna
it.
oh,
you're gonna go down as a trivia question one day. And I'm gonna be on a quiz show, and they're gonna bring. I'm like, dude, this is crazy that you asked that because he told me personally that dang story.
Yep, that's the truth. And I mean, boy, I tell you what, it's like, don't you ever step foot on this Opry again. And boom. And for all those years, but like I say, I know it sounds funny and all, but I just outlived all of them. So I'm
So,
back in the game again.
so you're looking forward to that in June.
Oh yeah. And in September, I think it's September 26th. I'm not sure. Uh, I was just informed about 3 weeks ago, wasn't it? They called me on a Friday night. I didn't know the number. I just at 10 o'clock at night, and I get a call. It had Nashville. And I said, "Who's calling me at 10 o'clock?" You know. So anyway, I went ahead and answered it, and it was my old buddy Ronnie McDowell.
Oh
And
man,
yeah, he called me. He said, "Hey, look here, brother." He said, "I'm down here in Mississippi, and they just called me. They know how close me and you used to be, and blah blah, your buddies, and all this kind of stuff. And they wanted me to break the news to you." I said, "What news?" He said, "They wanted me to let you know that you're being inducted into the International Country Music Hall of Fame on the Grand Ole Opry on September the 26th." I said, "Are you kidding me, Ronnie?"
this
He said,
coming
"No."
year,
He said, "Huh?"
this coming year,
Yeah, yeah. This it's September 26th.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm gonna I'm gonna definitely have to check that out.
So
That is
I said,
great, man. After being banned and now you're
I
back
thought he
in
was really
induct-
kidding me though.
right.
But now, and so
there's
yeah, then I
nothing.
got all the official word and all this coming in about it. And so yeah, it's official.
This
So
is this is
Nothing is
real country. It's real country music, though. This is real country music. Is snapping off the feed lines at the Grand Ole Opry. Real country music is getting kicked out of somewhere, kicked off of somewhere. That goes back to Hank Senior. That goes back to Bob Wills. That comes all the way up to these pups that are currently having some of their static out there right now. So I mean, the people acting like, oh, and I'm grateful. I'm super grateful that you're back in the fold and they're showing you the appropriate amount and the right respect. But all these places exist because of guys like you. You don't exist because of those buildings. Those buildings had a purpose because people like you were in them.
You are exactly right. You are exactly right. And there's so many of them deserves to be there, and so many of them deserve to be in the Hall of Fame
But
and all.
always
And
remember
they're
why this is happening though. That name above your head. He's giving you that new lease again.
Yep.
amen on that.
Because
Amen.
Yep.
again, it
Oh,
would have never happened without him for sure.
no, it would not have. And I'm glad you mentioned that because this is a little thing I got to tell you. My big old nightclub I was telling you about, Hurricane Central,
Is it a church now?
Mhm.
it is our church. My wife and I started with 5 people in our
I was
living room.
kidding. That is
Now,
awesome.
yeah, you brought it up. It's how God works. Yeah, He does. And Diane and I, we started with 5 people in our living room. We outgrew it, of course. Money kept bigger, bigger. We moved to Batesburg, South Carolina. We moved here, getting bigger and bigger buildings. Well, this place came available again, and guess where? What? Here's where we are. This is now Faith Community Fellowship Church in Aiken, South Carolina, right here.
Amen, man. Awesome. That is a
Don't
complete comeback, man. That is awesome.
don't
In
don't
fact, the
judge
business,
me.
in fact, the business where I am sitting right now. You see behind me, this is my TV. This can you see that?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
It's Leon Everett's God and Country Time with Friends. His TV show that like I used to do in Johnson, but we're moving it to South Carolina to down here. Well, where I am sitting at right now, I am sitting in the host desk that well you can't see. It's a huge room here, a big gigantic stage with all the high tech lighting. I mean, it's got everything over there. Huge room, all this here stuff, and then like when I book my guests come in, they'll do a song or two. Well, I'll open it up and do a song or two. Then I'll come over here and I got my co-host, Jimmy Murray, and me and him, he co-hosts with me. We'll sit here and we do our little thing and all. Then we'll introduce our special guests for the show, and whoever it might be. And then the cameras go over there, and they do a song or two, and then they come over here and they sit right over here next to me, which we got a mic set up over there. I know you can't see it, but anyway, and we sit there, then my co-host, and we interview them, and then say it's about time doing another song. They'll go over there and do a song, and then at the end of the show, we get everybody up there, all of us, guests and all, and we'll always go out with, I saw the light, or me and Jesus got on thing going, something other. We'll all go
Yes,
out
sir.
with, so the whole audience can get there and sing with us. But that's where I am right now. I'm in the room right now that our TV show, God in Country Time with Leon Everett Friends. This is where it's at right here.
Now, where can people? I know you said off camera or off the air that you're going to start it again in May. When it comes on, where can people watch it at?
Well, naturally, it's going to be streaming on Facebook, I guess, and all, but iTunes and all that kind of good stuff. I'm not into all that technical stuff, but it'll be streaming on iTunes. I think all these platforms that they've got it hooked up to.
iTunes,
That,
YouTube,
yeah,
Instagram, all of it.
yeah, that's
Okay,
what we was doing in Johnson. So they it's go all right back out on that and all.
that's awesome, man.
Now,
I
when I was
love
in
hearing that.
Johnston, when we was in Johnston, we would if I had to shut down, we was almost getting hooked up. That Netflix was really, really interested and was dealing with us about getting more content, saved up. But then we had to supply them with so many shows a
Well,
month.
we
We're only
we
doing it
have
once a
a
month.
we have a tie-in with Roku. So if you're interested, I'll set that up and get you connected with those heathens.
With those heathens.
Yeah.
We're
Oh my goodness.
me and you are now part of the tribe. We work together, and it's all about getting your message out, getting your music out. We still need to talk about your GAC recording studio and what you've got going on. Tell us a little bit about that right now. How did that come about?
Well, as I told you before, um, all I've ever been on major labels. I was on the RCA 5 years, then Mercury and Polygram and all this kind of stuff. So, but in Nashville, going back to the Nashville now, I see so many of these. In my opinion, there is way better independent artists than there is mainstream artists that's out there now.
Yes, sir.
And and I don't mean to offend nobody. I'm not downing nobody, but people don't get to hear these. And there are some superstar independent artists, but yet in Nashville, I get so sick of Nashville because these guys come up there. They don't know anything about the music business, but you got all these yo-yos up there that has a, Podunk Records or whatever, and hey, look here, we got these numbers here. We made this person over here. We got him in this little chart, blah, 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 blah. And then, so I don't know, $2,500, something other, we could get you in blah, 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 and this kind of stuff. And they're sitting there taking money, taking their money, taking their money. Okay. And then what are they really doing for those artists, And so I don't know. I know how Nashville works, and I said, that's just a money game to them. And they get so many artists piled up on a label, that if you got 30 artists on a label, you might have one or two that's actually could be good, really
Big time
a
headliners, yeah.
chance. Yeah, have a chance.
To your point right now, there is a major. There is a major right now. I know for a fact they have an independent branch of this major, and people get so excited when they sign on and they come on to that because they see the major label.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yep.
but I'm not going to get into the names.
No,
But what
Yeah.
they don't know is that independent branch of that major label, they sign you to a contract. There's like something obnoxious, like maybe 800 or 900 acts that are signed to that. And
Exactly.
in the chance 1% of them pops off, they already have them locked down on a sharecropper
Exactly.
agreement. And
Exactly.
that's you know as well as I do, because Abel Kane, we did that on our own. Abel Kane, where we could move 80,000, 100,000 units. We made way more. You would make way more selling an album at that level than you would ever make if you were signed to a major and you sold 6 million, based on what the label finally kicked back to you. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
insane.
yeah.
Now, is your GAC Records, is it in South Carolina?
Yeah, it is. What I kept watching. Like I said, I was into the independent thing, and I just kept watching these independent artists and all. Man, that's some great ones out there. Anyway, I got watching this guy named Billy Payne, and I said, this guy's pretty good. I like this guy. And then I kept kind of following him a little bit, and then I would always see BGJ Promotions, Beverly Jenkins and da da da. And I said, man, she's doing a job now. I mean, it's just always, it's got something up there all the time. Well,
Mm-hmm.
so I said, well, he got a good lady promoting him. And I know that, because she's out there and getting his name out there. So I watched this and watched this. So anyway, after a while, um, I just kind of took a wild goose and on one of his posts and all, I just said, hey, this is Leon Everette, if you could message me. Well, sure enough, he messaged me. And then we got to talking, and one thing led to another. And he was telling me about BGJ Promotions and all this kind of stuff. And I said, well, man, you sound good and all. And, whoever she is, she's really doing you a good job. And he said, yeah, she, you know, made my name out here, going. And then one thing led to another. And he said, well, do you know who she is? I said, well, no, I don't know who she is. Beverly Jenkins is all I ever see. He said, well, it's actually Vern Gosling's ex-wife. I said, you mean Beverly? And The Beverly I know, because you got to remember Rex Gosden, Vern Gosden's brother, he was my best friend in the world.
So you knew of her all the
And
time, but didn't put two and two together.
yeah, and I never, BGJ, I didn't know what that stood for, and it's Beverly Gosden Jenkins. Well, anyway, he told me that, and I couldn't believe that. I said, man, me and me and Rex and Vern, we all hung out back today. We was wild as beats, all hanging out together. And then I remember whenever Vern started dating Beverly, he was just dating her then. And then I put all this thing together. I said, you got to be kidding me. That's who this is.
Small world.
Well, then I had been thinking about this independent thing we're talking about because I said, I want to find me some knocked out killer artists, independent artists, and have a small roster. Have a small one. It's kind of like E.F. Hutton, when they speak, everybody listens.
Yes, sir.
If you got a small roster and everybody on that roster is good, then if I send you something, you might be busy, but he ain't never done. Let me take a quick look. Oh yeah, I like that. You might listen to me. But if I'm sending you 40 people and hey, you don't even pay me no attention no more. And so I said, I want a label like E.F. Hutton. I got everybody good on here. So, and I've been thinking about this thing and thinking about this thing. So then I got a hold of Beverly, and then of course we reminisced for about half hour, about the old days. And then I told her what my idea was, what I wanted to do independently and all this kind of stuff. And oh, she was just all excited. And I said, so, well, we just need to team up together then. And so anyway, we worked everything out. So it became GAC Records and BGJ Promotions. She's promoting all of my artists. She still does her own thing, but she's going to promote my GAC label. So then I said, I want this independent label to run like a major label. I don't know what I'm talking about. There's a difference in you just take somebody's money and take their song and just say, oh, I downloaded it on platforms. Well, it's got to be a lot more than that.
Yep.
Everybody can do that. So I said, I know how major labels work. And so I want to run just like a major label. I said, so I called a friend of mine. You may know him, Wesley Fricks. He's David Wills' manager. Remember David Wills? He
Barrooms
wrote
to bedrooms.
20 something #1 records
Yeah.
for everybody else, Garth Brooks and you name it, everybody else, George Strait. I mean, he wrote tons of #1 songs for everybody. And then, like I said, that song, Barrooms to Bedrooms, but that one, I want to drink, and here's a 20, and bring my change and dimes. Remember that one?
Yes,
That
sir.
was a big hit for him. Well, me and David go way back there too. Well, he manages David. And so me and him got talking, and I know Wesley, and he's a promoter also of shows, and he's actually booked me on shows. And so I called him and I told him what I was doing. So me and him teamed up together, and we formed Fame Management. So we find these artists, they don't have a management company. We have an in-house management company. Then I formed the video, photography, the whole kind of thing like that, the visual thing. Brantley Mathis, in fact, he does all my camera work. He does all the stuff here at our new show, this new room, install these cameras everywhere. Anyway, he works at a TV station. Guy's great. He's a genius. So I talked to him. He came on board with me. So we got all that covered. Then my partner in the recording studio, Ronnie Myers. By the way, Ronnie Myers, we've been together 50 something years.
Hmm.
He's played on I got 9 gold albums. I don't know if I told you that or not, but I got 9 gold albums and all this. He has played on he played bass. He's played on every song I've ever done, all 9 gold albums, everything I've done. We've been together that long.
That is awesome.
And now we're partners in the recording studio, and everything that I do, just like just lead me home, it cut and paste. I mean, all that we do it in my own studio here, and his. Like I say, we joined together. So I talked to him. So now we've got our own in-house production. So, and then my wife, she's doing all the administrative work. So, and then of course Beverly doing all the promotion. So we have built a label with all in-house that anybody would need. They need a manager, we got it.
Very,
They need
very,
a
that's a
video, we
good
got it.
idea. Very smart idea.
And so that's the way we have built it.
Well, it
Well,
looks, I
with
see
the
it all
way
over.
with the way it is now, for those who understand the industry and how we used to have so much glut and so much pork and fat, and it was never allowed to go to the artist. So now we understand, to do what you're doing, everything has to run lean. Most of these artists are running on a dental floss. They'd have to graduate to shoestring budget. And so these kids are running and turning and burning, and everything, every spare nickel is going to what they're trying to build, their sonic catalog or their visuals. And
Exactly.
guys, and we understand. I'm talking about, you're already doing it further than I have. I just came out of retirement a couple of years ago, but basically, we're building a city. That's
Hmm.
what we're doing.
Yep.
We are built.
Exactly.
We're building a city for the right people. Who talented's great, but their humanity is what's most important. And
Exactly.
if they have the talent that God gave them, if they focus on that, we can help grow that talent to
Sure.
match their incredible humanity.
Exactly. You're
Yeah,
exactly right. And you know what, Rhino Rob?
What's
Uh,
that?
it's like we do this, and people just like y'all, okay, we all come together. We we could build independent artists. We could build independent labels. We could build it so strong, because let me tell you, there is a whole lot of there's a whole lot more like secondary country music radio stations out there that ain't in the controlled by New York or
yeah,
whatever all this other stuff
Corporations.
is. They're all
yeah,
controlled. I don't care. You get in your car and you leave the East Coast, you drive to the West Coast, and you keep it tuning in at all these here highfalutin mainstream radio and all. You're still hearing the same thing that you heard when you get to California. You heard over here, and that same kind of rotation and everything else is all the same. It's all being
yeah,
programmed out of New York. The days back, Rhino, the days of us going in with a little 45 in our hand, and can we talk to the program director, music director? No, but you can leave a record. A lot of them would say, yeah, yeah, and you go meet them and all. Those days are over. You can't walk into a radio station no more, like the mainstream I'm talking about, that
Yeah.
controls everything. But all these independents and people like y'all and get them all on one train. Did you know we could we could I know flood mainstream radio. We could flood the major labels up there. We could be a force to reckon with if we all come together and do it.
Well, that's
And I
that's
believe
the
that.
thing. The second largest, if you cut the music industry into a four-piece pie, people don't realize the absolute largest chunk of the global music industry is Universal.
Exactly.
Okay, Universal Music Group. Then you have the second
And Sony.
largest. Well, that's the third largest.
Yeah.
Sony's the
Yeah.
third, and the
Yeah.
fourth largest is Warner. So the
Warner.
first is Universal, the third is Sony, and the fourth chunk is Warner. Second is Lord of the Flies. It is the independents. And so and the one thing that will unify all the independents is all the little hornets each individually have to eat. And if we can unify them all in a structure that will take care of them, and we actually have that in the works. It's 1.8, 1.9 million's already been invested in this search engine for a streaming platform that will pay 10 to 12 times what Spotify pays. It's
Wow.
still it's still not exactly where we were when they gave us a spin on radio back in the day, but you can now see it from that position where it'll
Right.
be. It's
Yeah.
almost there. And the difference with the radio versus now is because of the digital capabilities you potentially have via streaming, you potentially have 20 times the number of outlets or stations that would be releasing music, because of, so you'll offset that little bit less percentage when everything's pulling from someone's say. I'm using it for an example because it might be Apple Music or something, but
Right. Yeah.
whatever the chosen platform is per station, they'll either pull from Deezer or Pandora or Spotify or
Right.
Apple, whatever. and that's where those streams will come from. But on this particular platform, like I said, it's 10 to 12 times. That's through my friend Barry Coughing and the whole Springboard universe, which we will be connecting you with.
All
And
right.
you will eat this up. And I would like to go ahead and preempt. I'll backfill you. I'm one of the mentors with Springboard, but we do everything out of our own pocket. No artist has to pay for anything. It's me. It's me. It'll be Vicky Hamilton from Geffen Records and
Yeah.
Ruth McCartney, Paul's daughter, Dale Penner from Loverboy and Nickelback. You have all of us coming in, and Danny Jones from the Chitlin Circuit, Henry Turner Jr., the blues man.
Wow.
We're
That's
bringing all
awesome.
this in, and we're working with these artists through Springboard, and we do one in Memphis in October. And so we'll be easing your way, and I'm bringing a whole bunch of Nashville because I'll be carrying my big country ass up there to Beale Street. So we're gonna cause problems. I just soon have you right there with me when I'm
Hey,
elbow
you
deep
you give
in.
me. I'm with you, brother. I'm with you all the
Mhm.
way. Let's take it.
Yes, sir.
That is my passion and that is my goal to just make Nashville and all say,
It
okay,
People
y'all have arrived.